Hi, welcome back to the Lonzo Public Library for book chats. It is Library Week. Ooh. So, of course, it's our favorite week of the year. So, to celebrate, I thought I would share some books that I enjoy or recommend that touch on fantastic imaginary libraries. And I don't mean just awesome libraries like the Beast's Library in Beauty and the Beast, or the Sunnydale High Library, which has the coolest librarian ever, Rupert Giles, who can not just quote some Shakespeare, but he can also behead a vampire, because you never know when that will come in handy. But truly fantastic libraries that may contain all of reality, and that really show you how much bookish adventure is available. So the first book on my list I do not have because it is so popular, it's checked out, which is not a bad thing. It's called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and it's about the multiverse. I don't know if you've ever heard of this idea that every decision you make results in a different universe. So you turn left, and that's and that's the reality we're living, but there's also a reality where you turned right and maybe that changed everything. So the Midnight Library is the physical manifestation of this, where every time a person makes a decision, a book of their life in that universe is created. So, we all wonder how your life could have been different. Well, in this case, Nora Seed is having a very bad day, contemplating giving it all up when her work and her romance and her private life all seem to just be crashing around her. But what happens when she finds herself in the Midnight Library with a chance to see these alternate versions of herself? What if she married this guy? What if she got involved with a different guy? What if she was a rock star? So, it gives her a chance to contemplate the what ifs and maybe figure out who she is and what really matters to her. So, sounds pretty cool, right? And then I'm going to talk about Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine. So I brought this book home last weekend and could not put it down. It's dangerous because it turns out it's the first in a series of 5, at least so far. So I know what I'm reading next. But it's a rip-roaring adventure tale, which I love. So in the universe of this series, the Great Library of Alexandria not only was not destroyed, but it's become basically like the preeminent power in the world. It's got sister libraries in all the major cities of the world, and through alchemy, they allow anyone, to read any book, any approved book, but owning original books is forbidden. It is highly illegal. So Jess Brightwell comes from a family of book smugglers and is raised in the trade, but he's very bright, so he gets the chance to possibly get a job at the library. And so he goes to Alexandria with a bunch of other candidates from around the world, and there's all sorts of intrigue happens. He has to figure out where his loyalties lie and who can he trust. There's politics, there's spying, there's actual fighting and wars and very exciting stuff. The action keeps moving along very quickly, so it's a lot of fun. It definitely has, I would say, young adult crossover potential. So if you know a bookie teenager, you could recommend this one to him. Lots of fun. And then the next one I want to talk about is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. It's another recent book, and another one about a library that's all potential. So Claire is the library of Hell's Unwritten wing, meaning she's in charge of books that either have not yet been written or may never be written, especially if their author has died. Well, it turns out there's nothing an unwritten book wants more than to be written. So Claire's job isn't just repairing and organizing books, but preventing these restless stories from manifesting into our world. So when a hero escapes from his book and goes in search of his author, she has to track and capture him with the help of her assistant, a former muse, Brevity, and a nervous demon courier called Leto. But when they go to retrieve the book, they are confronted by the angel Ramiel, who's convinced that they have pages of the Devil's Bible, which is a book that's so powerful it could disrupt the whole balance of heaven and hell and earth and everything. So it's crucial that they find this book to save the universe. I mean, that's pretty exciting, right? I would say, like, if you enjoyed Good Omens, this sounds like a book for you. And then I want to talk about an older series. The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde is the first in the Thursday Next series. This first book was published in 2001. And it takes place in an alternate 1985. The Crimean War is still happening. Thursday Next, our heroine is a veteran of that war. And for fun, one of the things people do is genetic cloning. So she just happens to have a pet dodo named Pickwick, which I love it. And literature is taken very, very seriously. So Thursday works in the section of the police force dedicated to literary crimes, Literatech, and they fight plagiarism and book forgeries and smuggling and that sort of thing. But when the evil Archeron Hades kidnaps Jane Eyre from her book, Thursday has to save the day, which she is able to do when she discovers that she has the ability to read herself into a book. So it turns out that when a person in our world reads a book, it's enacted by the characters for every reading. So there's a whole book world, and she gets to hang out there. And the book world has its own police force, Jurisfiction. So Thursday goes to work for Miss Havisham, is her training officer. You may recall her from Great Expectations. And the big boss is the cat formerly known as Cheshire. There was some rezoning. Who's in charge of the Great Library, which contains all books written and unwritten. So it's a fun series. It does have action. It's also very funny, and it is just jam-packed with literary references and inside jokes. So it is a very good book for book nerds. And, you know, not to insult you, but I'm thinking if you're still watching this, that may well describe you. It certainly describes me. And finally, The Invisible Library. As you can see by the bookmark, I'm about halfway through this one, so I won't give you any spoilers, but it's by Genevieve Cogman. And that's another one that's part of a series. It turns out there are 7 books so far, and another one due to come out this winter. So, yeah, I'm going to be busy for a while. And it's another book that sort of touches on that multiverse theory. In this universe, Irene is a professional spy working for the mysterious library, capital L, which is sort of a shadowy organization that collects important books from all the different realities. And, you know, some of them have technology and some of them have magic, and all the different possibilities exist. And so these agents are highly trained. They go out and they retrieve important books by hook or by crook. So her latest assignment is to retrieve a particularly dangerous book from an alternate London with the help of her assistant Kai, who it seems might have secrets of his own. The problem is the book that they're seeking has been stolen already, and there's multiple factions trying to get a hold of it. And it's made even harder by the fact that this particular universe is what they call chaos infected. So, chaos infested. So all sorts of supernatural creatures that shouldn't exist do exist. So there's vampires and fairies and dangerous magic everywhere. So Irene has to make her way through the politics and the danger and the action-packed excitement to save not just herself and her assistant, but potentially, again, the entire universe. And it's got a great steampunk aesthetic, so if you're into that sort of alternate Victorian thing, you will definitely enjoy this one, which is another one that just kicks along at that breakneck pace. So there you go. Those are my suggestions for imaginary libraries. I hope you enjoy them, and we will see you again next week.